Speaking of Manchester United, some interesting news this afternoon. We know that the Ugarte talks are continuing, but some big reports that a bid is imminent for Fofana, and that Man United have supposedly left AC Milan. We talked about Paul, that we've left them behind, and that would be the second player potentially this summer that we take off of AC Milan. The Monaco midfielder Fofana linked with a move to Man United at the same time that we are still having talks with PSG and Jorge Mendes over the signing of Ugarte. How good a piece of business would Fofana into Man United at this stage be, in your opinion, Potsy?
Very, very good. Very, very good business. I'm absolutely stunned that Arsenal haven't gone in for him. For me, he is the perfect box-to-box midfielder. I know we're linked with Mikel Merino, and that's the one Arteta wants, but I was crying out for Youssouf Fofana. I see him play against us last season in the friendly at Monaco, and that was when I first saw him and thought, who is this guy? He is brilliant, mate. He is typical box-to-box, athletic. He's got brilliant physical attributes, aerial ability offensively and defensively, great on the ball carrier. This is good money as well, Tel. Like, he's not expensive because obviously he's got 1 year left at Monaco. They're happy to sell him. This, if you could get him for like 20, 25 million, this will be a fantastic signing, mate. Honestly, fantastic signing. I'm really frustrated, to be fair, because it's a player that I really liked and wanted us to get. So I think this could be a really good signing. And you know, Manchester United actually could, something like that could balance out your midfield. You've got Kobe Minu, who can't do it all, but is definitely a talented player. Bruno Fernandes needs to be complemented by a couple of players around him because we know what happens. If he's got idiots around him, he plays like an idiot. If he's got players around him, he plays like a player, right? That's in my opinion in Bruno Fernandes. For me, I look at what Fofana could do to your balance of your midfield. I think he could be an excellent signing, man. I really do. And if you was to look at Ugarte and Fofana on top of the defenders you're linked with, on top of what you've got up top, and I see that Calvert-Lewin is linked as well. I don't know how true that is. For me, that midfield could be quite decent, man. With Mason Mount there as well, that people forget about. If you was to get Ugarte and Fofana, you've got your 6 and your 8 on top of Kobe Mino and Bruno and Mason Mount. Your midfield is pretty much sorted there, mate. Honestly, I think it would be a really good signing this, and people might think I'm mucking around, but I think Youssouf Fofana is a baller, man. Honestly, I think he's a great player. So, yeah, I'd be excited if I was a United fan, 100%, man.
No, they need to get more midfielders in, aren't they? Because some of the current midfielders are not good enough. Minu's only young. McTominay's obviously clearly not good enough. So they needed to get another midfielder in, and fair play for actually doing that. I repeat what I say most weeks on when it comes to Man United. You're heading in the right direction, but I think it's going to be a slow process. I still think it's going to be 2 to 3 years until you're challenging. But I do think you've got that right structure in place and you look like you're making the right moves. You don't appear to be making signings where everyone's going, why on earth are they signing them for? People can speculate on whether this overpaid for Euro or whatever, but it's irrelevant. They needed a defender. They got a defender. End of story. It doesn't matter. Just like when Arsenal signed Rice. A lot of people said they overpaid for Rice. Don't matter. They needed Rice. They needed that player. People got to stop. And I know it's obviously not that an expensive price, right? But people got to stop looking at money and look at the actual player. Is the player good enough? Yeah, we spoke about Liverpool a minute ago and how some of their players that they've signed over the years are just not good enough for Liverpool. They're not at the Liverpool standard. United have signed loads of players over the years that are just not at the standard that you need to be. And it looks to me like United are obviously making better moves, and we'll see how they get on. I still think your manager's a fraud. I still think he'll be sacked by the end of the season, if not at the end of the season. But that's a conversation for another day. But yeah, right move for me. I agree with Potsy.
I get that. And James here says that Fofana links are catfishing for PSG to lower the price, and they could be. But Fabrizio said something the other day, and I don't take everything one particular man says as the gospel, but he sort of said Ugarte is the number one target, but don't be surprised if Man United, if outgoings happen, that Man United don't try and pull off another like a cheaper midfield player as well as Ugarte, and like Sander Berg's a name that we've been linked to. And I don't want him as the only central midfield signing, but if we signed Ugarte and Sander Berg, I would say again, like the defensive signings we've made, the overall technical floor of the team has been risen. But if you can pick, there's a potential here to get 30 million ish for McTominay, but then for 25 million euros get Fofana. The overarching upgrade of technical ability again is there, Plus, it means we don't have to run Mainu at 18 to 19 years of age into the ground next season. Because that's one of my fears, is that he ends up having to play. I'd like him to be used regularly, but it'd be lovely to be. I mean, imagine just being able to say, right, Mainu isn't starting today, Fofana is. That we haven't been able to do that for a long time at Man United. We have good players, but as soon as you go to the backup, you look at it with Delo, we can play more progressively with Delo. But if he's out and it was AWB, can't do it. Lissandro or Varane ain't available. We didn't have the players to have the ability to play out from the back. Now suddenly you've got Lissandro, you've got Yoro, you've got Delic that has come into the club. You've got 3 centre-backs that are very good at playing out from the back. So why City are so strong is because their system is well drilled, they're well coached, but their squad, of course, it's thick and it's deep. It's not the biggest squad in the world, but it's thick and deep in the sense of the technical ability is there so that they don't have to adapt how they play dramatically based on 2 or 3 injuries. They can keep being Manchester City. And that's what I'm looking for this season. Aside from, trying to win some trophies and progress in the league position, I'm looking for that sort of consistency in how we try and play, because that's the only way that we're going to make it as a top team. Every now and then you might have to adapt if you're up against another superstar team away from home, but generally you want to have a set style of play. And we were outperformed last year technically by the relegation teams, and Man United fans hate hearing this. Part of that was the system, another part of that was the quality of player. I saw it in pre-season and I saw against City on Sunday. Changes in what we're trying to do, more compact in the central areas. Took us 20 minutes to build up the confidence, but when we started playing out from the back, and I know it weren't City's best team, and I said it on Sunday, but I still think that City team that started on Sunday could beat 90% of the Premier League sides. At Wembley's big pitch as well, the way you play football, we passed it through you well, and I haven't seen us play through City with the volume of times we did that much in the last 7 or 8 years. I just haven't. Counter-attack, maybe, but not pass through the way we did. And look, it would have been a much bigger test if Rodri was there. But equally, we had players missing through injury, and we haven't even got any of our new signings out there. So I'm really excited about this forthcoming game on Friday. I'd love if we could get Fofana and Ugarte. That for me would end the window. We're up to about 6 players then, and I would say, look, don't even sign anymore, because you're going to end up maybe overwhelming the squad. But bring in Xerxes, technically gifted unit, very good player, young Yoro, Mazwari, Delit, hopefully Ugarte, and then potentially Fofana. You bring in those 6. I think the overarching technical ability has risen. We should see an improvement in our football. And I believe what that can then do is create a base for those guys up front to try and score those goals. And I think, look, we haven't got a Haaland. We haven't got anybody like that. I don't even think we've got a Salah in our team in terms of numbers. But with a base like that, we're going to get the ball to that edge of the box regularly. We're going to get a lot of balls into the box. And look, I think we'll have a better season. And I do agree with LB. I think we're on the road to recovery. I'd be really impressed with these players, and let's just hope that Ineos and co can get these guys over the line. I'm very, very hopeful.
I think,
of that.
Terry, the front three would still be an issue for me at the moment at Manchester United, because you don't know what Rashford's going to do. You don't know if Sancho and Ante are staying or want to stay. You don't know what's happening up top, whether Rasmus can start scoring or whether Xerxes can come in with a hype and start putting the ball in the back of the net. And that's where I still have my doubts with Manchester United.
Very true.
There's no doubt that you've got building a foundation, and you look at the midfield. I actually think at fullback you'll probably be okay if the players stay as they are. I know Wan-Bissaka's left, but Mazraoui's come in. You've got De Ligt and Yoro. There's still rumours that Jared Branthwaite, that's not dead in the water from what I'm hearing today as well, that Everton are so skint with this point deduction stuff again, which is becoming a joke, by the way, but that's for another show. There could be still movement there as well. But Manchester United, I still don't have them finishing massively high at the table for the pure fact that I just don't see where the goals are going to come from at the moment. And until that changes, that will then change my prediction of where Manchester United will finish, because I know Rashford can score, but the consistency is a problem. I don't know what you're going to get from Højlund. Will he get above 10 goals? I still don't know. What is Xerxes going to do? I have no idea. And I don't know what you're doing on the right-hand side. I mean, Sancho looks like he wants out. Anthony clearly isn't good enough. I know Garnacho's there, who I rate as a player, but he doesn't get you sort of 10 to 15 goals, really, does he? So I think that's, for me, the only kind of question mark is who's going to score the goals for Manchester United. But the rest of the team you're building is clear, you know?
No, listen, I think that's all fair challenge. And of course, I want to go up the league. But the most important thing is to develop a sustainable way of playing football. And a lot of the coaching is being done by Ruud van Nistelrooy. And it's really interesting because some people do think that Ten Hag may be sacked this year, and that some people believe that Ruud van Nistelrooy is already in there as well. If it goes wrong, there's someone to step in straight away. I want it to work for Ten Hag because I don't have a personal vendetta or issue with him. But knowing that we're building a proper structure at the club, I'm less worried about a manager being sacked now than ever before because you can just bring somebody else in. It's you need to have that kind of plug and play sort of solution when it comes to managers. Not that they're not important and not that they don't do good jobs, but we can't be doing what we've done for the last 11 years and starting all over again with a new manager. No, you pick up where the last guy left off, like Chelsea. You know, Chelsea are not at the beginning of a rebuild. They're going into their third season under this structure, as an example. So Liverpool are not in a rebuild. You're just going into a new manager era. You know, City, if Pep leaves at the end of this season, City aren't at a rebuild stage. They're at a new manager stage, so it's transitional, but everything else is still there and the expectations remain. So no, I totally agree. But look, I think attacking wise, a lot of people have said, like, what about Rashford, Terry? Would you keep him? I would. He missed 2 chances at the weekend, but I'm not writing him off because he missed those 2 chances. It's if we create 2 chances. The thing is this, I would say Haaland generally gets at least 2 chances of that quality every game he plays for City in the league. At least. If you create 2 chances like that per game for Marcus Rashford this season, in all competitions, he'll score 30 goals. I really believe he will. So it isn't the problem Man United players have had is that we might create 1 proper good chance in a game for them, and it's like, you've got to score it. But the best strikers in the world miss 70% of their chances. What's Haaland's conversion rate? 30, 40%? So you've got to create an abundance of opportunities. Now, some of them, of course, he scores some outrageous goals. Some goals that you think, how the hell has he done? Got to that. But there's loads where it's just like, it's easier to score. It's harder to miss than it is to score from. We've got to do more of that as a football club. And if we do that, then I think the goals will come. Our creativity needs to improve tenfold. And I was impressed with that the other day. And a lot of that just comes from simple passing and movement. You know, you don't need to go and buy Xavi and Iniesta to create chances per se. You just need good one touch, 2 touch football and movement. And you can open any team up. It's just basic football. So, yeah, fingers crossed for us anyway. Usually I don't care who the transfer's done, like links players. The club knows better than me. However, I really want Sander Berg. I know you want a Norwegian because you're Norwegian, but I'm not against him coming into Man United. I just don't want him to be the only midfielder we sign. I don't want that pressure being on him. But injury record's a little bit sketchy. But as a technical footballer, again, he's light years ahead of what we've got. He really, really is in the central areas. Pains me to say, but United had a blip season. What, last year?
Don't pay me to say it, mate, whether it was a blip or not. Jeez, come on, Michael.
Still second most successful team in England last season. Just want to put that out there. So put that out there. Not bad for a blip season. Not bad. Imagine
trophies.
You can't. Yeah, you can't. Didn't play the second best football in England though. We're probably somewhere like Conference North. I mean, I went and watched some League One games last year. I went with my brother that was Leyton Orient playing. Genuinely, League One teams for large part of last season were moving the ball better than us. Imagine if this Man United under the Glazers and Woodward again, none of the right signings would occur and Branthwaite would have happened. Yeah, if Woodward was still running, it would have signed Branthwaite for 95 million. That's what would have happened. That's what we would have done. It would have been 95 million, and we would have sold, by the way, Scott McTominay, but we would have sold him for 6.5 million. That's what we'd have done, and we'd all be crying.